Isn't that just some crazy free music? Yes, I said free music. Anyway, this is free as well. Welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes, live here on barnburner.ca Facebook page. Make sure you go to iQuestmedia.ca for all your website needs. Welcome an in-studio guest. Of course, I'm surprised by this. Welcome, Tucker Booth. We're here live on Periscope, Facebook Live. We're trying to cover all bases today.
We're live everywhere right now, Rudy. I think we're broadcasting live from Planet Funk.
Yeah, you know what? I think we're worldwide here, which is a good thing. That's the whole point of all this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, go to iQuestmedia.ca for all of your website needs. You'll be surprised with the results and be glad you did. Barnburner.ca is a great example of that, by the way. Why? Because they have a fabulous website. It's very clean. It's concise. It's on point. And just so happens that my show will be there on the RudeDogShow.com. Make sure you go tune in there. And, well, it can be found relatively anywhere, whether you're surfing on SoundCloud or if you have your wings on and you don't want to fall out of the sky, SoundCloud's a great place to find it. But we're live right now on Facebook on barnburner.ca. Make sure you tune in. All hands on deck.
That's right. And my Twitter people, Periscope. You know where to go. Tucker Dale Booth handle on Twitter. We got Periscope TV in the building. What up? Definitely glad to have you guys aboard, too.
You know what? That works. I like it. And so far, so good. I can tell you this much. You should check out Tucker Booth's Periscope. And if you don't have him already, make sure you do. So, with that being said, look, there are so many things going on right now. Tucker usually aren't here. And this is the first time on this show. And you're only a phone call away. You're local in Redondo. What was it about being here live in studio on the Rude Dog Show?
I feel like I've used Twitter so effectively to stalk Rudy that within a week I'm already sitting in his backyard. That's amazing.
Yeah, literally. Imagine that. Imagine what a couple gifts that keep on gifting can do for you.
We are having the most epic GIF battles on the planet, folks. If you want to follow along on our Twitter feeds,
I can't believe you got me in on that.
And Tucker Dale Booth are throwing down with the gifts.
Well, it's always the gift that keeps on gifting. Speaking of gifting and those things that are not gifting away, let's dive into sports here. Of course, one of the reasons why we're here, on top of what's going on in China, no, I didn't say China girls, don't get that twisted. We're talking about UCLA basketball players accused of thievery.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I'm really stuck on stupid here. I can't really fathom why these guys would find a reason. Of course, Lonzo Ball's brother, Lonzo Ball, LA Laker, LaMelo, who is also caught in this thievery triangle. What's going on with the Bruins?
Rudy, you would think at the Olympics with Ryan Lochte taking a piss on a Rio bathroom that people would just learn not to break the law when they're out of the country in places that are not that hospitable to democracy. But all I can think is it's got to be thrill-seeking. Anybody that would commit a petty crime as petty as stealing sunglasses or a pack of gum or candy bar, that is about cry for help. And I think a lot of these guys that are famous are definitely needing some parental correction, and I don't think their parents do a good enough job, obviously. Look at LaVon Ball.
Well, look, LaVon Ball is a whole nother guy all into his own, and it's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot I can say. I mean, he's openly criticizing the Lakers for not playing his son Lonzo Ball, got drafted by Magic Johnson and the crew this past lottery. But I look at this as saying, LaVar, you have to know when to say when. You have to know when to plug it up, because what you're doing is not helping your case. And if I were the Lakers, I'd probably turn my eyes and ears away from what LaVar Ball's saying.
Well, look at his kids. So we go back to LaMelo. They see their father trying to manage their brother's career in the way that he does. And the way he does is, we just set it off, Mike, it's trolling. He trolls big business. He trolls the Lakers. He trolls the NBA. He trolls Steph Curry, LeBron James. Nobody's off limits to him. He's like an elephant in the room hunter kind of guy. So, like, LaVar knows this is a shrewd way to keep getting retweets and hashtags and whatnot, but he fails his children as a father, because why would a son not know that of all places you're not supposed to steal something? It's China.
Well, you're talking about the elephant in the room. I'm more concerned about the China in the China cabinet, because right now LaMelo tipping the iceberg And again, his dad not helping his case whatsoever. I don't think that it's so much about him not being a good dad, other than he's way over the boundaries. He's becoming somewhat of a square peg in a round hole, something that just doesn't quite fit. Lakers not paying attention to what he has to say. A lot of people just turning themselves off to what he's saying or what message he's trying to convey. Is he a good dad? Is he a bad dad? I don't know. I would probably tend to think that he probably needs to stay a significant distance away from, let's just say, Lonzo Ball. He's already in the NBA. He's already doing his thing. He's already handling business. Is he a phenom? That is yet to be determined, at least in the NBA level. Maybe someone in the collegiate level, not really a guy that can get off of being, blocking on the inside. Not great from three-point range, but he's a hustler. He's an assist king. He did it at UCLA. I think LaMelo now needs to have attention paid to him more so than probably any of the other brothers as a part of the Ball family.
Well, and I'll go to it with parenting. These celebrity parents of celebrity kids, we can use Hollywood as an example. We were talking about it. Especially look at Hollywood right now and all this exposing of stuff that's been going on. Parents fail their children inadvertently. I don't mean that they necessarily bring their child to Harvey Weinstein and go, here's some bait. Get my kid in the movies, you can do what you want. I don't think it's quite that severe. But I think we go back to celebrity parents. The Ball kids were hyped up for how many years by the media? LaVon Ball being the hype king, the Don King of their campaign. And within that, I think the focus gets put all on end results, money, fame, those measuring sticks of success. And it's not about teaching your kids how to have ethics, morals, these type of things, or at least it's not at the same level that you're teaching them to be a celebrity, which seems to fly in the face of most ethics and morals by most decent people's standards.
Well, I look at it like this. You're talking about the NCAA. That has a level of importance to it. As a father, I'm a father of three, so I completely understand that, and I understand trying to get them and move them in the right direction. But at some point, and we're going to talk about coddling here, well, let's just say of over-coddle. There's a coddle, there's an over-coddle, especially in sports. And I believe that LaVon Ball has coddled Lonzo a little too much to where now all this hype being brought upon how good he is and how great he is. And, okay, fine. So on a collegiate level, yes, he was great. I put my hands up to him, assist king in UCLA. They had a great system there. But now in the NBA, you have to know when to release the reins and say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. This is not good. This is not what I want to do. I need to focus on my other children. Why? He's already there. He's already professional. He's already doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's getting paid to do what he's supposed to be doing. And I think LeVar is really crying wolf because the Lakers aren't really paying him that much attention on top of putting his son out on the court. Look, in NFL, NCAA, NHL, you earn your time. You're not just gifted and say, you know what, because you're Lonzo Ball, we're going to give you, let's just say 35 minutes on the floor. Not going to have it, man. You have to earn that. It's about progression, time, and reps. And if you don't have those three components, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot because you're not going to see any time of day on the field, on the ice, or on the hardwood.
Well, and it's also a different sports culture here in LA. And people that don't live in LA, they want to call it bandwagon, or they want to call it, what have you done for me lately? But here, it truly is about results. It reminds me of New York City, if we're talking Knicks culture, and they haven't given them results in forever. Lakers in 5 years or so. But I'm saying 5 years after 2 championships in a row, Rudy, and Lakers fans are livid, bro. So, unless you are winning games, you are not going to get court time. It doesn't matter if your name's Lonzo Ball or LeBron James. If you can't produce on the court, they're not going to let you out. But there are plenty of teams that could pull a Houston Astros, or a Philadelphia 76ers. They could put Lonzo out there and let him stink up the joint for a year and get his legs under him. They could do that because he is box office enough as Lonzo Ball that he will draw people to come see him stink up the joint at this point. That may not last, but he's got a Tim Tebow-like effect there or whatever. People go watch him swing at baseballs and miss. They want to watch him because he's a celebrity and he's box office. Magic Johnson was smart in that regard. He knows box office. He knows he's got to put butts in the seats. But these butts in these seats come late. They expect fireworks when they get there, and they expect at least a winning season.
Well, a winning season for the Lakers hasn't exactly been something they're familiar with. Obviously, Kobe Bryant, the one-man band, not getting it done by himself. And look, there is no I in team, but there's an I in winning. And unless you have a team, you're not going to get to the winning. That's what it boils down to. And right now, you're talking about celebrityism and the entertainment industry. And here in Los Angeles, most people probably don't know this, but in Los Angeles, California, you're talking about, you said, what have you done for me lately? Lakers haven't done anything for anybody lately, and the Clippers seem to find a way, at least. And then the Clippers find a way to get into it just to find themselves out of it a lot sooner. Why? Because of untimely injuries to, whether it be Chris Paul when he was here, now with the Houston Rockets. And there's just so many things here in Los Angeles from a sports standpoint that winning cures all wounds. I think you could probably make that argument across the board. That's really what it's about.
It's not bandwagon. It's results oriented. And there is a difference. If you're a business person, you're not bandwagon because you see a trend and you get on it. That's called reading the wind. Out here, the Dodgers are now the new thing. Again, because they were in the World Series and they almost won. They're what's hot in LA. Now, the Trojans could have been that this year, but they threw it away. You can't lose twice early and get your butt whooped by your rival and still have them rolling with results orientation. But Lakers, if they can pull out a playoff berth this year and Lonzo looks better by the end than the start of this season, they'll be back in. Clippers, they went with Clippers when they started looking better. And, of course, the curse of the Clippers kills the Clippers. You know, but people jumped on the wagon for a while, if you want to call it that. They did. LA Kings won a Stanley Cup. Suddenly we had hockey fans in this town. I had never met them before, but suddenly they were here.
He's just coming out of the woodworks. Yeah, no, you're right.
Galaxy, whoever. You know what I mean? Like, they'll come around for that.
Yeah. Well, they're going to come around for the wins.
Right.
When you're losing, it's, well, shame on you. You're bad. I'm not going to go. Even though I've paid over $1,300 to $1,400 for season tickets throughout any given season.
Look at Beckham on the Galaxy. That's box office. I say it again. Lonzo Ball is a young potential Beckham. He is a huge brand. He's bigger than any other rookie in this draft as far as celebrity status.
Well, no, he is, but celebrity status isn't going to win anything in Los Angeles. It's good to be able to fill the seats with, but if you want long-term effects, Lake Show. Really? I mean, how many... Magic Johnson, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you had the guys, you had Showtime here in Los Angeles. Showtime is now kind of coming back to Los Angeles because they believe in Magic Johnson's ability since they had released a general manager really wasn't getting it done and hasn't gotten it done in many, many years.
That seemed like a suicide mission by Mitch.
You want to put blinders on and walk into a fire or walk into a gunfight with a knife in your hand. Mitch Kupchak did exactly that.
Phil Jackson.
Wow, Phil Jackson. Another former Laker head coach who did great in Los Angeles, not so much in New York where there's a dumpster fire there last year.
I said it on Twitter, Rudy. Look who he drafted that everybody said he was a fool for drafting. Look how that's panning out for the Knicks.
Well, Porzingis getting it done early in the season. I think it really took for them to excavate all these various players, including Anthony, who was sent packing. Not really something that the Knicks are used to. Porzingis is now the talk of the town there in New York, of course, with dumpster fires in the NFL with the Giants and the Jets kind of at a subpar basis. The Knicks fans now have something to cheer about.
But look how far they've come from booing when they drafted him. I mean, they were booing.
They're booing. What, do they not want a dominant center? Do they not want a guy who's 6'7", who can slam dunk all over you, has ball skills that he woke up with one day?
They thought Phil was high on some dabs or something when he made that draft pick. That's the problem. Phil had done some things that weren't cool. You know, but I'd say if Phil had moved out Carmelo the way he obviously wanted to, I think they could have already made Kristaps the star. I think they could have built around him. I think Phil could have built another dynasty for him.
You know, there are a lot of instances where teams, and then just sports, will find a way to get rid of certain guys, just like in the draft, right? NFL draft, the first overall draft pick, the Cleveland Browns. Well, what do the Browns do? They trade down. No, we don't want the first overall pick. We want other guys. We want other pieces of the puzzle. I predicted that. I said, you know what? If the Browns were smart, they would trade. Now they still have 2 more draft picks coming, and if they tank all the way to 16, they're done. They're going to get the first overall pick. again, because of their record. But teams throughout and across the spectrum will say, you know what? We don't want these guys. We want these guys. We want to add and build around. Quarterback, you could probably put any quarterback in that conversation. Drew Brees, good example. New Orleans Saints comes into the system, so you know what? We need to release a couple guys. Yeah, they got Adrian Peterson, but we're not really getting the results that we're looking for. He doesn't fit the scheme. So when you look at sports, when you look at sports teams, I think it's more about getting rid of those guys that have probably the most attention paid to them and with the least amount of results in order to say, you know what, I want this guy, this guy, this guy. This guy is going to take a minimal hit on our cap, but we want to build around that.
I think it's a balance. You know, most teams are balancing between being an Astros or a Sixers and trying to tank to get good draft picks to build from the youth culture and then maybe get a free agent or two to, you know, fill in their gaps. And then you got people that are always going after the big box office splash, and those are the coasts or the big mid-market cities, Chicago, Dallas. They need a star. They need a star and they need workman-like pieces of the puzzle, but they need a box office star. Because without it, they turn into one of these teams where they're winning games and no one knows the names of the players, and it's like watching paint dry, watching these workman-like people win. It's like the Spurs for years. People always wanted to knock them and say that they were boring. And they said the same thing about Pete Sampras. He's boring the way he dominates with fundamentals. Now, a case can be made that it's not Kobe. Mm-hmm. It's not LeBron. It's not box office, dude. Yeah. But Tim Duncan has won as many championships as Kobe Bryant. I mean, who would you rather have as your representative of your team and your city? And I'm a Kobe fan, but I'm just saying, all of his baggage or Tim Duncan, who would you rather have, truly?
I'll be honest with you. I look at Tim Duncan and I think to myself, that guy has a poker face. He can sell anybody swampland in Arizona, even though he's in San Antonio, because of how he plays. It's not about what you say. It's about what you do. It's about the execution. Yeah, and he leads that team. He's been leading that team. Where do you think he learned those skills from? Part of that was innate, but part of that was from Pops.
Right.
How can you not put him in the same conversation as Popovich? It doesn't make sense, and I think that you can say the same conversation about what Phil Jackson, going back to Phil Jackson, talking about Kobe Bryant, the championship that they had won together. Was it more about how Phil Jackson wasn't able to emboss his will onto Kobe Bryant versus Popovich and Tim Duncan?
Well, maybe it's looking at the credentials of these men, because those are the two greatest basketball coaches in pro basketball history, right? I mean, just record-wise and otherwise, I would say. So, do you need a Phil Jackson-like shrink for your superstars? Because that's what he was. He was like a magic talisman shrink. Or do you need a brigadier general? Because Popovich is literally military, and they treat him as such. He is the undisputed leader of that squad. If you don't play along, they'll get rid of you. And the team is behind him 100%. So what do you want? Do you want Phil, who's a player's coach and your psychologist and sometimes your big needling brother or whatever he is? Or do you want Popovich, who's the general, who says, you do as I say, and that's that, or you're gone?
Well, I think it's more about conforming to the system that they're playing in. A lot of players, and I've interviewed hundreds of Division II, some Division I players that have the same attitude. We're hungry, we're passionate, we're going to do whatever we have to do. Become very coachable. I think that's one of the things that Kobe Bryant did not acquire. Didn't go to college. Tim Duncan went to college. Big difference between coachability, attitude, and what you bring. And these guys are hungry, they're passionate, they take to the next level, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Popovich has a chemistry behind that. Now, new coach Luke Walton comes in Lakers, staying with the Lakers and the Spurs, of course, two rivals in the Western Conference. But when you look at these two teams, you think to yourself, they couldn't be any more different. Right. Popovich, the tenured, probably one of the most winningest coaches, except for maybe Red Auerbach outside of the NCAA. And then you look at Luke Walton, second year Lakers head coach. He has his work cut out for him. He has a lot of new stars.
But he learned in that great Warriors system with Kerr.
Right, and that, well, he learned a lot of that, but I think the majority of his coaching style comes from not only what he sees from Steve Kerr, but playing in the Lakers system and being coached while he was there in the Lakers system as well. We're talking NCAA, NFL, you name it, there's no elephant in this room, so if anybody has any question about the elephant is now outside eating peanuts. So, and we're not talking peanuts here. We're talking apples and oranges.
Peanuts is lingo for put to sleep, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, wow. You get them set out to pasture already. Anyway,
so smoothie.
Smoothie. Don't start on this smoothie. Give me a strawberry smoothie. Anyway, you didn't bring me anything, by the way. I see you have your coffee.
I know. I brought myself a coffee and donut.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the battle because I'm battling you at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to want the half of that before.
I'm not even going to eat it. I'm just going to have you.
You're just going to look for. Oh, you're going to tease me.
I'm totally getting a hunger strike. All right,
hunger strike. Go ask Soundgarden about a hunger strike.
Reyes versus Booth.
Reyes in the booth here. Ladies and gentlemen, today, and you know what? I looked at the wire, and I look at news all the time. Sports news, what's good, what's bad, what's in, what's out. Vontae Davis is out, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Apparently, he didn't give them any fair warning that he had physical issues. Same thing with Martellus Bennett for the Green Bay Packers. He got tossed as well. Why? When you don't disclose injuries to the teams that you're playing on, and they're relying on you solely. They're looking at you, they're saying, you know what, we need you to perform week in, week out, day in, day out. We need you to perform at practice as well, because if you don't have the reps, how are you going to get in a real-time situation? Vontae Davis cut by the Indianapolis Colts.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's wild.
Well, it's wild, but what's more wild is how can these guys not disclose injuries to their coaches, to their co-workers, say, you know what, I'm not 100%, man. I need serious, work off season. I need whether you cut me or not, I don't care. I need the time. And obviously Indianapolis didn't want to give that to him.
I'm going to jump to Josh Gordon because I know you were saying we were going to discuss Josh Gordon's reinstatement in the NFL, and I think there is a correlative link here. The correlation for me is that in that interview that Gordon just gave GQ, which if you haven't read is very revelatory. It's a wonderful interview. I think it's one of the most candid, honest type of interviews I've heard any athlete give, period, to a major publication. He swore that he was high and drunk in every single competitive game he's ever played at any level. Now, we already know from all of these stories that have come out about painkiller abuse, opioid addiction, the problem it is in this country and surely in pro sports, and drug and alcohol abuse, which is also prevalent in pro sports, whether they admit it or not. It's a party culture. It's like that Ballers show, and we all know it. These guys play high on medication. They play high on drugs. They play drunk. This happens. Josh Gordon is just blowing the whistle. He's Corey Feldman of the NFL right now. He's just blowing the whistle.
Oh, then I must be Martin Sheen then, because Martin Sheen's refuting his claim of...
Marty and Charlie and Emilio, they're all running into a foxhole right now.
Wait, I think this is a movie. Anyway,
call it the Breakfast Club. Oh, man.
I was thinking more like the Breakfast Club sandwich. But anyway... But look, bottom line is this. You're right. Josh Gordon's article with GQ was very revealing. It was very passionate. It was honest. It was straightforward. And you know what? I didn't have much respect for Josh Gordon. But think about this, and I talked about it right here on the Rude Dog Show a couple days ago, about how Josh Gordon himself was playing all this time inebriated, yet how does he really play? How does he really perform? If he was drunk,
wow.
How is he going to play
clean? His numbers were uncomparable for his rookie and sophomore campaign to any other rookie and sophomore, except for maybe like, what's his name from the Bears back in the day, the kick returner. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Devin Booker? Or what was his name?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The guy in the Super Bowl who took the touchdown back on the first kickoff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Hester. Devin Hester. That was like the only other guy I can remember who walked into the league with Josh Gordon's kind of skills, and he wasn't as good of a receiver.
No
way.
No, not at all. And what's really, I would probably suggest, it's probably much more revealing to know that Josh Gordon should be reinstated within the next couple of weeks, maybe sooner. But of course, the Browns need all the help they can get, and I'm not talking about the 34th quarterback starter in the Browns system. But Josh Gordon, I want to see how this guy performs. Probably one of the best comeback stories of the year. 2 years out of the NFL, now coming back, and a guy like Vontae Davis is now getting kicked out. Is there a double standard here?
Well, and I think what I'm getting at with the Josh Gordon correlative there is that I think a lot of these guys play hurt, because they're kind of used to playing high and they know medication or Demerol or codeine or OxyContin or whatever can get them right enough. It's a deferred payment plan like a credit card. You know that at some point you're going to have to pay life and your body back for all the damage that you're doing it by keeping it doped up and going in games. But just like baseball, when the steroids thing came out, it wasn't just steroids that they were giving them. For years, they were giving them amphetamines in coffee cans in the clubhouse, and they just called them pep pills. That's like giving them speed. At some point, your body is going to rebel. And yes, the company is accountable for that.
Yeah.
So I think the NFL for years has quietly promoted a culture of pain medication at least, and maybe drugs and alcohol to keep yourself out there because they're all playing hurt, especially in the NFL.
Well, of course they're going to play hurt in the NFL. Why wouldn't they play hurt in the NFL? You don't want somebody who's younger than you. Tyrone Carter interviewed him for the Steelers. So you know what? It's not getting here that's the hardest part. It's staying here. It's making sure that the younger guys coming up in the draft aren't going to take your spot. So what do you do?
Compared to the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, I mean, these guys are draconian in the NFL. If you don't perform, it doesn't matter why you don't perform, you're done. And they're not paying you enough like the NBA has negotiated so that at least you got a retirement fund.
Yeah, no, there is no retirement fund. Matter of fact, the NFLPA and the NFL players themselves voted to make sure that Roger Goodell was a judge, jury, and executioner in all decision-making processes relating to suspensions, relating to fines, and things of that nature. Look, bottom line is this. Jerry Jones reported that he's going to sue various teams in the NFL, and one of those teams are the Steelers and the Giants. Why? Because he's pitching a fit that Roger Goodell is not dropping this suit against Ezekiel Elliott. Of course, one day goes to the next. I was on last night on the Blitz on Barber C. We were talking about teams who are on top and teams that are below. And one of the reasons why Jerry Jones wants to continuously press the envelope is because the NFL doesn't really have any proof, NFL proof. They have NCAA proof. But that's not who he is. Ezekiel Elliott constantly claiming that it's not who I am. I want to clear my name. Roger Goodell is the first one, Jerry Jones, to say, you know what, stop putting my boy through this. You need to go.
Right. Well, I think Jerry Jones, and you and I spoke on the phone before we got together this week and kind of hashed out some of the stuff we were going to talk about. And Jerry Jones played into that convo more than once. Now, surprise, surprise, he's the owner of the most popular team in the NFL, which is the most watched channel on the planet, essentially, by 4 times over any other sports network, the number of eyeballs that watch the NFL. And the Cowboys are the most associated brand with the NFL. And we're talking about Papa John's Pizza, and you know I'm going there too.
Oh,
Papa
man.
John's Pizza
Somebody grab a slice while we're talking about it.
Is the most associated brand with the NFL.
Right.
When they do surveys, Papa John and Jerry Jones are running that thing like the puppet masters. And yes, Roger Goodell owes them a phone call before he makes a big decision, because those dudes are playing with billions of dollars of revenue money that can go south the minute they snap their fingers. Mm-hmm. Now, Jerry's a smart one. He's a smart one business-wise.
Well, yeah, that's something that he's proven time again. Why? Because of the decision-making processes. He's made, I was listening to a 30 for 30 on Jerry Jones, and he was talking about how this team wasn't even the forefront of what he was really trying to accomplish, but recognized that they needed help, recognized they needed to understand the winning ways, but the way to do that is with money. Jerry Jones, probably one of the richest guys on the planet, and obviously in the NFL rankings, but you're talking about money, and he doesn't like losing money. How successful he is doesn't indicate he's lost any money. He's going to fight tooth and nail to make sure he doesn't lose any money. And if you don't start Ezekiel Elliott, if he's not there, you're not going to have people in the stands. It's really cut and dry. That's really what it boils down to. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show on barnburner.ca with Tucker Booth. He's here in the studio. We're live on Periscope. Make sure you're tuning in. Check us out. We're live here for at least another 30 minutes. Go to iquestmedia.ca. Get your website done by them. They'll do it right, and all it takes is the first time. So, Tucker, we're talking about another situation. It has to do with the NFL. Colin Kaepernick, and I know it's a dragged out, worn out conversation.
I'm ready for this one, Rudy. You know
I know you have been. You're probably sleeping on
I was
this.
loaded for bear for this one. Come on now.
But I look at this and I think to myself, Roger Goodell contacted Colin Kaepernick. He said, you know what? I'm going to extend a warm hand, or maybe two. Anyway, whatever he's cupping his ears with. A warm bagel, a donut, whatever. Warm bait off a hook to say, look, come down, visit with me. Let's talk about this. Because right now, Colin Kaepernick single-handedly has been giving the NFL the blackest of eyes for quite some time. And he's not even playing in the NFL.
Well, and I'll start by saying that, Rudy, one of the things that qualifies me to be on the Rude Dog Show is not that I'm a suburban rock star and 11-time rap battle champion. That's not what qualifies me to be here. What qualifies me to be here is I've done a lot of digging, bro, specifically on celebrities, and my own obsession is sports dorkery, so especially sports celebrities.
Dorkery, that's interesting.
I have been a sports dork since long before Colin Kaepernick was rattling the NFL's cage, and I've known plenty about Colin Kaepernick for a long time. So I view everything about every celebrity that I dig dirt on through the lens and the filter of what I already know about them. And what I know about Colin Kaepernick has been echoed by many people who I respect in the sports world, journalistically and professionally. Tony La Russa, the former manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, where I'm from St. Louis, who is a humongously influential man to most people I know in St. Louis. He said in an interview about Kaepernick that he didn't trust his authenticity. And everybody goes, oh, Tony, you're racist. You don't think cops kill black people. That's not what he said. What he said was he did not trust the authenticity of the messenger. Now, I don't know if you remember, but about 2010, Cap got accused of pulling a Bill Cosby. Do you remember this?
Yeah, no.
I just wanted to bring this up because no one is talking about this.
No, of course not. Nobody really wants to talk about it. All they want to do is talk about why Colin Kaepernick is not in the NFL.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby drugs and rapes people. No, okay, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, no, Colin Kaepernick was accused in about 2010 by a woman who said that he brought her to a hotel party with some other NFL players, that she was given drugs and alcohol, and that she believed that the alcohol shot she took was spiked with some kind of drug. She woke up, she felt she had been violated, and she blamed Kaepernick for rape. That was, you can type in Colin Kaepernick rape on Google right now and read for yourself. This is all out there. I'm not telling you anything that isn't out there. However, it kind of quietly came and went, like things seemed to quietly come and go back in 2010 or whatever year it was, because you could still get your company or your brand or your Nike affiliates or your whoever to buy yourself out of these problems. He's on a team like the Niners. They got a ton of money. He's taking them to the Super Bowl. They still need to protect that investment at that point. Now, look what happened since the Kaepernick's career. Attrition, aging, surgeries, injuries. It was not trending upward for him in the NFL. And just like we said earlier, Rudy, the NFL doesn't care why you're falling off. Once you fall off, all bets are off on you. So what happens? He knows. He knows that the walls are closing in. Suddenly, I believe Colin Kaepernick got real interested in social justice because I think he saw a next logical, shrewd step for him. I think it keeps him in the public eye. I think it keeps him relevant. I think it keeps him trending on Twitter that he loves so much. I think it does all of those things. And granted, he may believe what he believes, so I'm not trying to say Colin Kaepernick doesn't believe in racial justice. I just think it was a convenient next step for someone who's getting bounced out the league in a couple years anyway.
Well, look, bottom line, I look at Colin Kaepernick and I think to myself, is this guy for real? Okay, fine. So you can talk about all the things that had to do with him being accused of rape and things of that nature. It could have been a cover-up move by him to say, you know what, I want to take away from what I had done and now put the finger on somebody else. Racial injustice is real. I don't make light of it. I'm racially mixed myself, so I don't make light of that at all. However, Colin Kaepernick, as much as he wants to get back into the NFL, and that's been his ploy, that's been his cry, has been something he's been trying to get out to basically everybody, including NFL owners, he went ahead and said, you know what? They're colluding against me, and I want to put them on the spot. Well, he's doing just that. That's one of the reasons why Roger Goodell said, you know what? Reached out a warm bagel and said, you know what? Come in. Sit down. sit for a while. I will butter your toast for you. And if we can come up with some type of agreement to say, you know what, you can drop your suit, but I want it back in the NFL, and you can't do this anymore. There is no more kneeling. So I think there's some type of bargaining amidst there if for some reason Colin Kaepernick, who, by the way, has still yet to call Roger Goodell back and say, you know what, this is what I want to do. Let's make this happen. He lets a lot of people speak for him. I think that's one of the issues that I have with Colin Kaepernick because he hasn't been vocal himself. He hasn't been able to put himself out there in an open media forum to speak for himself. He's letting other people do the same thing.
Charlie Sheen send their representatives to make a statement for them. Does that make anybody think that they're being authentic at all? Well, I mean, no. You got to be a dimwit to go, well, their lawyer said they didn't do it, so I must make them innocent.
But how many high-profile people? I was watching, I'm not going to name the shows, that's a plug-in, but I'm going to say his name. It's Gary Condit, who was accused of hiding Chandra Levy.
Right.
He was such a high-profile guy that he would just come out and say, you know what, I don't know nothing about nothing. Now, here comes the patsy, right? Just like JFK, here comes the patsy with that whole situation. I'm not going to even go there. It's not my wheelhouse.
Oh, conspiracy theory with Reyes.
There could very well be something involved in it. But again, not my wheelhouse, not my thing. All I know is that Gary Condit not forthcoming with any, complete undeniability. So you know what? It's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. He was very shady. Very, very shady. Scott Peterson, same thing. Very shady. Wouldn't come up with anything. Load the spotlight, things of that nature. Look, bottom line is this. If you're Colin Kaepernick, you stick your voice out there, let people know how you feel about X, Y, and Z and ABC, why you belong in the NFL, and on top of that, why everybody needs to pay attention to what you're doing.
I think it's going back to the Sheen and the Feldman again. When there's money to be protected by an industry, the industry signs non-disclosure agreements and tells all involved, victims and otherwise, you be quiet or we destroy you financially and otherwise. When it comes to Kaepernick, I think there was some buyer's remorse on his part, all that he had bought into, all that he had kind of set in motion, because he saw how quickly all of what he had grown accustomed to, the lifestyle, the money, the being a leader of a team, was going to disappear. I think at that point he stopped kneeling. I think it was a business decision at that point. I think he still believed in his cause, but again, somebody got in his ear and said, Colin, you are going to throw most of this away and the door will be slammed in your face. Are you truly prepared for that at this point? And I think he went, maybe not. And I think that's why you saw the sea change at that point where he said, I'm not going to kneel. And it conveniently came when? When it was the off season and he needed to get a job.
No, and look, he forfeited the majority of what he had left in that contract. I'm not a fan of somebody saying, you know what, I don't want backup money. There's greed that steps in right there to say, you know what, I want more money. I deserve to be a starter somewhere. And you have this guy right here. No, not going to happen. His numbers didn't indicate.
I bet they take him.
His numbers didn't indicate that he was anybody that great. Yeah, fine. So he helped lead them to a Super Bowl. But it wasn't on him necessarily. It was the defense that did
the coach.
And, of course, the head coach had a lot to do with that. Obviously, the leader of the clan, if you will. Bottom line is this. Colin Kaepernick, if you're listening, which I hope you are, and if you are...
What up, Colin?
I have a warm bagel here for you. But I'm not Roger Goodell.
Start the quarterback for my son's Pop Warner team next week in Redondo. I'll bet they let you get a few throws in there.
Oh boy, here we go. Speaking of releases and quarterbacks, Andrew Luck comes to mind. Staying with the Colts theme because it just seemed to be the injury theme, injury bug, whatever you want to call it. They certainly have issues there, and it starts with Jim Irsay and Chuck Pagano. Here's why. Jim Irsay deciding to suggest that it's not all in Andrew Luck's head. In other words, what he's trying to say is that there's more to this than meets the eye. Oh, granted, okay, I'm not a Colts fan. I root for the Steelers. But because of the familiarity that both these franchises have together, it makes you really wants to wonder and ask, why would you not relinquish the actual injury to a point saying, you know what, Andrew Luck is a scratch. He will not be playing. Don't bother. I think they kept fans on the hook. I really do. Why? Because they're, maybe Andrew's going to play. Maybe Andrew's going to play. He didn't end up playing. And he's not playing at all. He's done.
And they knew that from the get, because with a severe injury like Luck's, and I have looked into it, they were aware way back from Dr. James Andrews' first diagnosis that this could take 2 years or more. But, we were talking about Griffin the other day and some of these other guys that showed so much promise right off the bat and got the whole fan base hyped up. The whole organization has signed away their entire future on this guy as if injury couldn't happen anytime. And then it happens. At that point, the smart team says 2 years. Just shut him down. Slow physical rehab. And then maybe half a year of just getting him back in the game, fighting shape, because we're going to really coddle him. I think Indy got sucked up in needing to rush him back, at least promoting that ideal to the fan base that it was all about how quickly can we get him back.
But it was really all for naught, though, because they ended up deciding, so you know what, we're going to shelve Andrew Luck the entire season. He's not comfortable. He's not ready. We don't think he's ready. And clearly and obviously what the whole behind-the-scenes look is that Andrew Luck himself is not ready. He's not ready.
But
he hasn't
fans
been
want
ready.
him to be ready.
But
Rudy.
of course,
that's it. They want him. It doesn't matter.
Over Jacoby Brissett, why would you not want? Not to say that Jacoby Brissett has not done a great job filling in, just like Case Keenum has for the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, they're now activating Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. Back
to the show, who'll be backing up Case Keenum. I don't think you was going to see Teddy Bridgewater at all playing. Biggest question with quarterbacks, especially and specifically, when does a quarterback know that they can actually play again after surgery, after repair?
Well, we're going to talk Tiger Woods. Now I can get into my true Tiger Woods metaphor here. Tiger Woods has had a lot of injuries, psychically and physically. He's had many injuries. Now, if you look at his body, 4 knee surgeries. If we're talking football player, you're done. The back. 4 back procedures. The last one, a microfusion of his spine to another lumbar region. Most people do not recover in golf or anything sports-wise from the injury and surgery he just had. Now, you can find examples. Lee Trevino, there's some other golfers, that won and even did well afterwards. Yeah. You can find them. Golf isn't football. But the similarities are, this is a mega injury to your franchise player. The PGA needed Tiger like the Colts need Luck. They need that guy. That's the one who puts butts in the stands. That's the one who sells gate tickets. That's the one who gets people to watch on Sunday. It's not anybody else. And the problem is the fans put too much onus on a Tiger or a Luck because they've already been branded as the next big hope. And that's partly due to production. And granted, Luck's no Tiger there, but Luck was very, very good right away. So the hype train just was off and out the station. He's the next Peyton Manning. We can trade Peyton Manning. Well, it hasn't quite been the Peyton Manning story since.
Well, no, and you may not ever see that again. One thing about Tiger Woods is he also had lower back spasms, which has everything to do with the turn and radius of your hips and your waist. Why? Because when you go into that swing, you're turning your lumbar, you're turning your waist, you're turning all these mechanical components in your body to even come back. Of course, Tiger Woods playing in the Hero Challenge this week.
I'm stoked.
And I can't wait. I was talking with John Decker. He's a friend of mine. He's been on the show a couple times. We talked about Tiger Woods. How good is he for the PGA?
I'm saying he is bigger than any NFL celebrity. He's bigger than Tom Brady. He's bigger than LeBron James.
Tom Brady?
I'm talking what he means to the PGA. What he means in revenue, Rudy, is bigger. I believe. You can look directly at the gate and the viewers on Sunday since he has been out. There is no comparison, and the PGA is flailing and desperate. I guarantee it. I study the PGA as much as I study any sport. They are desperate. They need Tiger or a new Tiger. They need a new Tiger so bad it's not even funny.
But there is nobody like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has done it time and time again. Matter of fact, when he petitioned to the PGA Commission and said, you know what, I want to play, what do I need to do? Well, you need to do X, Y, Z, and ABC. Tiger was a natural-born competitor. Why would he not want to come back to play in the PGA? I mean, it's completely ridiculous.
They need him. The players need him. I mean, I think Jordan Spieth and these other great new winners, Justin Thomas, all these guys, they would agree. They want him out there. He's their measuring stick. He's their hero. Rory McIlroy. These guys want him out there. They're not like, yeah, we're glad he's gone so we can win all the trophies. They want to beat that dude. But there's nothing in just beating each other. They know they're not him.
But think on this, though. Tiger Woods himself wants to be out there more than anybody else. More than your Furyks. More than your Space. More than...
Phil Mickelson.
More than
Mickelson taking
more
off,
than Mickelson.
You know, the U.S. Open that he's never won for his kid, and I'm totally with that. But that's about perspective. That's not about competition.
No, it's not about competition. Of course, Mickelson and Woods, one always trying to get the better of the other, but clearly it lands on the side of Woods. I mean,
Well,
there is
but
no.
think
there's
about
no
it,
question
Rudy.
about
You just said it lands on the side of Woods historically with the wins. But I'd say now, looking at these President's Cups and these Ryder Cups and these legendary moments Phil continues to create at 47, and he's still in the mix, bro, and we know he could probably even win a major now. He's been very close. He won the British 5 years ago. It's not like he's out of the loop. Dude, whose career over the long haul would you rather have, Tiger's or Phil's? Because I bet you Tiger would say Phil's right now, man. You see him on the sidelines at Ryder Cup looking at Phil like, holy moly, I wish I was him.
Well, he could very well be him. Depends on what Mickelson does between now and the age of, 50-some years old. So Mickelson always right there in the conversation, but never can get over that hump. He's like a quarterback in the NFL. Like he can get there, but not get there. He does.
If
and
he
you know
gets
what?
all four,
If he wins
he's
it,
set.
yeah,
Set.
exactly. Let's get back to the Colts here for half a moment because I want to close this out on I guess it's not really a positive note necessarily, but it's called, I think it's plausible deniability on Chuck Pagano's side, on Jim Irsay's side, and I think that they needed to be honest and open, not only with the fans who come and pay concessions, parking, tickets to get in, paraphernalia, things of that nature, and honest with them, say, you know what? Unfortunately, he's not ready to go. And I don't even think Andrew Luck knew that he was ready to go, and I think that if they were going to be honest and open and being transparent with your fans, great organizations are transparent with their fans. Steelers, Cowboys, things of that nature. Those teams are the ones that set the precedent to say, this is who we are, this is what we're going to continue to do, regardless of who is ownership in, and we could go on to the Rams as well. Rams made a gigantic move, made a sound business decision to leave St. Louis. Not to say the great show. You know I was going there. You know I was going there. So they leave St. Louis. Ownership now changes hands, but still take old baggage with them. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the baggage of head coach baggage.
And the ownership. Because Stan has bags.
Well,
he's got them.
Yeah, he's got bags, but who's worse with the baggage? Who carries more to the airport?
That's it.
That's what matters.
They're
exactly. They're the first ones who are in the line of fire. They have done a fantastic job. I mean, if Sean McVay, and I've talked about this on the show before, if Sean McVay does not get at least a nod for Coach of the Year, I will eat my telephone. I mean,
we'll go to it because I'm from St. Louis, Rudy, and I can get to shout out to my St. Louis peeps listening. Shout out to STLA connection out there, the STLA peeps. You guys, I listened to you for so many years in St. Louis after they came to town and you defended the move from LA to St. Louis that surely did to LA Rams fans what they eventually did to you, St. Louis folks. You defended it. You said it was a good move. You said LA is a bandwagon hater town. You said we will love them and embrace them and treat them the way they should be. And you did through the Super Bowl run. The Kurt Warner season was magic, and all of us enjoyed it. And you spent a few more years caring too. But St. Louis fans, you have a problem with your sports culture, and you know you do. You're Cardinals fans, and the Cardinals have a legacy and tradition of winning that only pales to the New York Yankees. That's it. They've got 11 rings. Yankees got 26. You're never catching them. But everybody else is in your dust, including the Cubs still. So when you watch Rams football, you expected them after that Super Bowl and then the follow-up one where they got cheated out of it by Patriots. Yeah, I said it. You expected them to be back in the Super Bowl every year or two. You expected that because that's what the Cardinals do. They're always in the playoffs. They're always winning independent. They're often in the World Series, and they even win a couple every couple of years. They're always in the mix historically. You've been spoiled. But shame on you for rooting for the Blues over the Rams. The Blues are the biggest loser choker hockey team. They always choke. And the Rams delivered you a Super Bowl, and that did not buy at least 15 years of goodwill based on that Warner season and the follow-up Super Bowl that they barely lost in an asterisk of a game. That did not buy more than that as far as fans go. Because I'm telling you, Rudy, when I went back there 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when the writing was surely on the wall, guys, what will you do if and when I'm sure they're coming back to LA? First, they denied it, like any tragedy. Nah, man, it's never going to happen, man. We're the greatest fans in the world. Okay, well, check it. It's going to happen. What happens then? Well, F the Rams, man. F them. And they said this 3 years ago, bro. And now they're shocked that they're gone. This is a business decision. 4 times the revenue to be made in LA. If you owned a business, St. Louis people, you would move where the money is. You know?
But here's the situation. And it's really simple. It's not far-fetched. It's not out of the ordinary. This isn't a big surprise or shocker. When you move out of a system, I don't mean the fans, but when you move out of the system that you're in, you become renewed. You become refreshed. Now all of a sudden everything's a breath of fresh air. There was a bunch of stale air there where they were playing in St. Louis. Now, my family's from Missouri, so I have family there.
Shout out.
And my son still lives in Missouri, nowhere near Joplin. Actually, near Joplin, not nowhere near St. Louis. But one thing about the attitude, the personality, the newness of moving to a new city. Los Angeles hasn't seen a football team since the friggin' Chargers were here back in the 60s.
Right.
But when you have a team that's winning, by the way, on all 3 phases of their ball, between having a head coach that knows what to do with a quarterback, Jared Goff, Sean McVay, there's certainly a dichotomy to be had. There's winning mentalities that come into place when everybody on that team follows the same course. They're all looking at the leaders, which are themselves, because they're leading in their own respective positions to say, you know what, we're going to be effective. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to look to the ultimate leaders on this crew to get the way at 6-2. Seriously? How could, look, I understand you're talking about bandwagons, how bandwagoners have basically killed the game, and all of a sudden now there's a bunch of Rams fans here in Los Angeles. No. There were Rams fans here in Los Angeles in that loss to Pittsburgh in Super Bowl 13. Now, with that being said, they had Ferragamo, they had all types of firepower, just did not withstand the Steel Curtain defense, which was in its heyday at that point, winning 2 more Super Bowls in Chuck Noll era, 10, 13. But I like where the Rams are going now in 2017. Moving in 2018. Are they a playoff team? Absolutely. There's no question about it.
The owner saw the writing on the wall. And you and I were talking about that before we came on the air about, in my opinion, there are 2 things that make every championship organization. Great ownership, great general management, and, of course, great coaches. And if you can manage to be a coach and a GM, which is so rare that you can pull both off simultaneously, but that's what it takes, either 2 or 3 great people at the top running game. And the thing is, Stan had been so wishy-wash as an owner of the Rams, but I think he actually listened this time. I think when St. Louis dumped on him, I think when he got the instant scathing criticism that comes with moving to LA and the bigger market, I think he started realizing, I got to be like the Lakers, like we were saying earlier. This is about win now. This is about put stuff on the field that's entertaining and exciting and box office now. And I think they wisely picked Goff, even though they got criticized for it. But that wasn't Goff's fault. Jeff Fisher was a bum of a coach. He doesn't know how to coach offense. He doesn't know how to coach a quarterback. So there you go. You get what you get there. You know, he underutilized Steve McNair. This is a guy who underutilized a lot of people. So you go to it. Got a better coach. Surrounded the young, talented quarterback with blocking so he wasn't running for his life all the time. And figured out offensive, innovative strategies that freed up receivers and brought in receivers wisely, made the great trade for Sammy Watkins, brought in guys through the draft like Woods and Cooper Kupp. These are great young talents for Goff to play with. And, of course, it frees up Todd Gurley, who is surely the most talented offensive player on that team. And with all that put together, Jared Goff looks like Kirk Cousins did the first year that McVay was whispering in his ear back in Washington. Suddenly, Goff, who looked like a deer in headlights with Jeff Fisher, looks like Troy Aikman. And it took one season.
It took one season. It's all about the reps. Jeff Fisher was by far and I thought to myself, this was a day before the Rams cut him. Now, by the way, just a side note, I tried applying for credentials to get into the Rams so I could be in the press box. They're in high demand.
Yeah.
They're in absolutely high demand. Every reason to be that way. Now that they have a winning mentality, winning attitude, and understanding that you take ownership in your respective position. They're putting it all together. Jared Goff putting up fantastic numbers. The only other quarterback that's close, same draft, Carson Wentz for the Philadelphia Eagles. Imagine that.
The two
Wasn't
question
doing it
marks.
for the Eagles. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't be any further apart than just number 1 overall and number 2 overall. Probably one of the best stories, and they actually will face off against one another. Of course,
and of course, Eagles are the other great story this year, right?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? They're getting it done. It's about the next man up situation. Hard-nosed, blue-collar town in Philadelphia. Same thing with Pittsburgh on the other end of the state.
Young, innovative coach, just like McVay. Another young, innovative coach.
Right, but the differences between those two is that the ownership for the Rams know about football. They understand the football dynamics. Whereas Philadelphia, Doug Peterson, and the owner says, football, third down, what is that? You know,
Right.
Comes in and says, you know what? I'm going to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. I'm going to bring them in. We're all going to sit down at the round table, and I'm King Arthur, and we're going to hash out what the mediator will suggest that we do in order to get the talent that we need. Now look at it. Top in the NFC.
I was talking about Steelers because I know you love Steelers, Rudy.
Well,
so
I mean, well, when you're talking about Pittsburgh.
The owners of the Steelers, from the very top down, are loyal people. They're people that are all about, if you're accountable with us, we will set you up for life. You are in the family, and there's no getting out. You could screw up major, and we'll still have your back as long as you stay loyal to us. You could screw up in any other facet of life. We got your back.
I'm going to speak on that point, and we're actually going to run out of time here, but I'm going to close with this. You're right, Steelers, great organization, great family, still passing down to family roots and genes somewhere. I know a couple of the Rooneys who are part of the Green Bay Packers organization also have ties in there as well, oddly enough. But I look at the Steelers organization, Santonio Holmes came back, retired as a Steeler. Hines Ward was there, MVP Super Bowl 40. Training wide receiver, Plaxico.
Jerome Bettis,
yeah,
Rams,
Jerome Bettis. I interviewed Jerome Bettis. Just a bunch of great history that is being passed along to the right guys. Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know what Martavis Bryant is going to miss the boat here, but he is activated to play. I think once Antonio Brown receives his Super Bowl ring at some point, and I hope that he does, along with Ben Roethlisberger getting his third Super Bowl ring, of course, with 3 appearances. Maybe he'll find a way to get out of this somewhat offensive slump to get into.
We don't ever have to worry about Steelers because it's a tradition of coming on late in the year. It's a tradition of playing better at the end than at the start. It's a tradition of people being scared of you no matter where you fall in the playoff mix. They could be a wild card team, and I'd still probably put my money on them or Pats to be there at the end of the day for the AFC. That's a tradition of excellence that both of those teams can be pointed to.
Well, and I think to close this off, I think the Rams have looked at all of that and looked at those different types of relationships through the organizations in the NFL, talked to the upper tier guys, the guys that have been there. Coaches no longer in the NFL. So you know what? This is what we're looking for. What do you suggest? What are your thoughts? How do we get your input here to help us with the decision-making process we need to get this team that we have right now up to a pinnacle of achievement? And I think the Rams are certainly on their way. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend.
We're
out of time. We win. No battles. We'll have to say that for the next time, my friend.
I mean, I totally won the battle. You know how it goes.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Tucker Boots is claiming it now. Come on now. He's here first time in the studio, and he wants to claim victory. You want to claim the W. Jameis Winston is now eating.
Oh, no. Hey, maybe you can steal me some crab legs.
Oh, wow. just don't ask LaMelo to get you sunglasses.
Yeah, hey, Jamie, I'm on a seafood
maybe,
diet. When I see food, I ask you to steal it for me.
Maybe some cheap sunglasses. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rudy Reyes. Tucker Booth here on the Rude Dog Show. Got to have this guy back. Classic.
Hey, Rudy, I'm definitely coming back. You may not even get a choice in the matter.
I don't have a coin to flip.
Like with a mattress or something.
I don't have a coin to flip.
To give my own plug, check us out online. Tucker Booth Needs a Job podcast. It's free. You can find it on Internet Archive, radioforall.net, or just Google Tucker Booth, BOOTH, needs a job, and check out our podcast. And I will definitely be blowing up the Rude Dog Show. Be looking on my Twitter page, Tucker Dale Booth on Twitter. Rudy and I will continue to gift battle until the next time I'm here.
Yeah,
so
those gifts I keep on giving. Don't forget, go to iQuestMedia.ca to get what you need for your website. It's a one-stop shop for all things web page related. They can do a great job just like they did with barnburner.ca. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. I will no longer be holding Barnburner on Facebook hostage anymore. You have been relinquished of all of the locked up.
Go take a shower, guys. Do something.
Go take a hot bath or something. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes, Tucker Booth, right here on the Rude Dog Show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This podcast will be uploaded on barnburner.ca and will be loaded as well as a video on therudedogshow.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.
Peace and love.